Hi there, I'm Linda, and this is Huttons Valley Permaculture. Just here, I've got a young apple tree grown from seed, dropped from the tree behind it. In today's video, we're going to dig it up and move it to another area in my kitchen garden. Now, it's about 3 years old, and I was hoping last season I might have been able to get a piece of fruit off it to see if it was any good. But I didn't, so I still don't know whether it is worth growing for its own fruit. But I am going to move it because I thought, well, if it's successful as a tree, I might be able to graft better varieties onto each of the branches. And by keeping it close by in an extended area of my kitchen garden, means I can keep a close eye on any of the grafts that I do. It's the middle of July here, so the middle of winter, which is a perfect time to be moving a fruit tree because they are dormant. You can see here none of the buds have really swollen or filled out, ready to burst. So we've got plenty of time to get this tree into the ground and get it established before it springs back to life. Now I want to give this tree the best chance when I move it, so I'm going to be really carefully digging out these roots, which I'll do in a moment. First of all, I'm going to get the hole ready for the tree so the roots have less chance of drying out. Now it won't be moving far from its mother tree. I plan to extend my kitchen garden into this grassy area so that I don't have to maintain the grass and I get more production close to the house. So if I put it in this little corner here, it's not in the way of a little pathway that I've got running just in front of this section here. So I'm going to put it smack bang in the middle here. Grow the tree. I can grow some shrubs or some ground covers underneath it. Now I've just got to make sure that my hole is big enough to take the roots. So I'll dig what I think will be correct and then adjust once we get the tree out. I've just got this bit of metal here just to put the soil onto, so it's easier to put it back onto the tree when I get it in the ground. Well, that's my hole dug for the moment. I will adjust when I dig out the tree and see what the roots are like, but that should be deep enough, and I'm anticipating that diameter should be enough as well. So now we're going to focus on getting the apple tree out of the ground. I want as big a root ball as possible, so I'm not going to be using my shovel for this. I'm going to be using 2 other pieces of garden equipment, and that is my sturdy garden fork, and I might also be needing this crowbar. We'll just wait and see how this tree comes out. Now, first up, I need to move everything from around the tree, which is this beautiful log and all this lovely fungi on it. It's really amazing to see the life that comes in to break these logs down. And this is the underside. We'll get that out of the way. And this is just some grass clippings from the grassy area. So we'll move that as well. Now I might just get my fork in here and scrape back all this wood chip. All right, I think that's clear enough. We'll get my garden fork in and see if we can prise up as much of these roots as possible. Now it's possible the tree roots come out as far as the drip line, which is quite a distance over that side. So I'm just going to start kind of right on the drip line on this side and see how we go. Hopefully we don't dig up too much of the parent tree's roots, but it's just going to be what it will be. So I'm just going to carefully work my way around the tree as much as possible without impacting too much on that parent tree, and then kind of move in after the first round. Now the calendula might have to be sacrificed, but small price to pay. That'll be back again in spring. All the worms are all scurrying away. It's hard to do this without disturbing some of the soil life. Now that the tree is moving a little bit with the fork, I'm going to come in with my crowbar. We want to damage the least amount of roots, and by just poking this sort of in and levering it up, the roots will sort of loosen and come free on their own without being cut. That's the plan anyway. We'll see how it works. But first I need something so I can create a bit of a lever for my crowbar. I have this beautiful decomposing log. It's really amazing when you sort of check these little things out. But anyway, we're going to use that down here to help me get this tree out. Oh, that might have freed it. Here we go. There's a few extra roots coming out the side that I'll kind of work on. The more roots we can preserve, the better this tree will recover when we get it back into the ground. Being mindful, of course, it could well be the parent roots, but we'll see how we go. That is parent roots there, so I'll quickly cover those back over. Oh. Now there's a really big root going through the bottom here, so I'm going to work on that. And you can just make that out. It's just here, so I'm going to dig away at the ground just coming through here a little bit more. All right, we've got a bit more of a root going through here. Wow, this root goes way down into the ground. I'll get my fork down there again. Just excavating a bit more of this lawn, which I can replace, although it is going to all change to kitchen garden, so I'm not too worried about it. Now, while it's really tempting to get in here with my shovel, I think I'm just going to keep chipping away at it with my fork, because you've got these little roots off the side here. Hopefully you can see that. These little roots here that come off the side of that main root, which I want to preserve. So the fork is going to be the best way to do that. I might have to just go bit by bit. See if we can. Oh, here we go. Oh, all right. I've snapped that off there, but that's a fairly decent piece of root. Now that tree should come out of here now. Okay. And there we have our young apple tree. Now, I've been dying to get all this grass off it, so I'm going to get that loosened if I can. This grass is horrible. Oh, wow. That's all the grass roots. Wow. Okay, and we're left with the tree roots here. That's amazing. So now we can assess our hole and what we have to do with it. Now the tree, I want to orientate so the branches come out. We are going to trim the branches. Because we've trimmed the roots, we will definitely need to trim the branches. Now, I might have it around this way here. I'll just pop a bit of sod down to hold it so we can assess. I think this looks like a perfect orientation. Now, in the previous position, this was more setting, sort of going out that way. But here we can plant the tree so it does have a leader, and then we'll have those branches going out into this area here where there's really not much traffic and it can spread out there perfectly. In my future plan, that's actually a little gateway into the backyard, and I'll have a path running through here which goes over and through the side of my kitchen garden and out to the paddock where all the crew are. And so if we check out the hole itself, that will be perfect, just sort of going around like that. Now I might just dig out a little bit so I can sort of put that out straight there. So yeah, let's get this tree in and buried, and then we can get on to a little bit of pruning. Now I need this tree to be a bit more upright, kind of like that. So I'm just going to hold that down while I get all of that buried. Okay, if we hold that down there, and I'll just bury those roots, I'll make sure they're down. And this is where putting your soil on some sort of surface, sometimes I'll use cardboard for this, but this bit of metal was hanging around. You can tip it back into the hole fairly easily and get that buried. I've got all that soil back in, now to get it watered. With the tree watered in now, I'm going to get some compost down and some cardboard and then some wood chips. But first of all, I'm going to take off this branch. I think that's a bit too low, and I'll just prune the rest of the tree while I'm at it. So I'll get that one off there. And while this branch is pretty low, I'm going to leave it for the moment because it does have these fruiting spurs on it. And I would like to get at least one apple from this tree to see what the fruit is like. I'm going to take these ones off. I'm going to get that off there and reduce the size of the tree. And I might just shorten some of these longer branches. So I'll get that done here. Off. I'll get this, just shorten it. Shorten this one. I'll get that one down and shorten this one. And I'm going to leave it at that. And hopefully our tree will come back to life when spring arrives. I'll just return these to the soil. and bury that all in compost. I've got 2 composts. The first one is the mushroom compost. And I've also got some of my homemade compost. Next, I'm going to pop my cardboard around. This one's been used to store old onions. It's a bit grotty, but I'll get that sort of close up to the tree, but not too close. And I'll like this way. And we'll try and suppress all the grasses. Now we'll just get a load of wood chips on top. Well, my little apple tree is moved, and it's also started my kitchen garden extension, which I'll leave for another video. This tree should come back to life in spring. It did have quite a bit of roots that we've got into the ground. I have trimmed some of it off to take some of the stress of the move from it. Hopefully I haven't left too much on, but we'll see. There are some fruiting spurs still on this, and I might just, if they do flower and start to fruit, I might just thin it just so that there's 1 or 2, just so I can get a taste of the fruit and what we're likely to expect from this tree in the years to come. Anyway, that's all I'm doing for the moment. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks so much for watching, and bye for now.